Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here on this Saturday coming up to the noontime hour. Thought I'd give you an update on what's going on with respect to the weather across the northern mid-Atlantic and southern areas of the Northeast. Let me emphasize right off the bat, no weather problems for the rest of today, obviously. Sunday morning early, around daybreak, say between, just to give it a window of time, 4 a.m. and 8 a.m., there'll be clouds and maybe a brief shower of rain, or in the cold spots north and northwest of New York City, maybe even a snow shower. After that, Easter Sunday dayside looks perfectly fine. And if you are traveling tomorrow evening, away from visiting or whatever you happen to be doing, there are no weather problems up until about midnight or so Sunday night. It's going to be in that time frame from say, midnight to about 8 or 9 a.m. On Monday that we're going to see some snow. And one of the things that's happened overnight and so far today with some of the newer weather models is that they are getting a little beefy with the precip. And if it falls during it's going to fall during the nighttime hours. So whatever falls will probably accumulate on most surfaces, depending on the intensity. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be some amounts up into the 4 and 5 inch range in some places. Some of the models are actually even more bullish than that. Let me just show you what's happening, at least at the moment, on the radar with this cold front that's approaching and low pressure that is moving through very rapidly through the northern Great Lakes into southeastern Canada. And there's snow, of course, on the northern end of this with some rain on the southern end. This is moving right along. There's very cold air behind it, temperatures in the teens and single digits. That is moving eastward. And we are going to see this whole area basically fall apart once it moves into Pennsylvania. That's why by the time it reaches the coastline early Sunday morning, there'll be very little left with it. But let me jump to the NAM model and the new GFS, which is coming out now, to see if it confirms. GFS was beefy to some degree overnight. What I mean by beefy is that, generating amounts of liquid on the order of a half an inch or more, and the morning cycles here continue that trend and actually have gotten a little bit higher. So we'll start with we're going to start with the NAM model, and we'll go back. We're at present time here, so you can see from a couple of hours ago, at 8 a.m., how quickly that low has moved up into the Great Lakes. The southern area of showers really not all that impressive, so it falls apart before it reaches the East Coast. Now here comes that wave on Sunday. Look where it is Sunday evening at 7 o'clock. I'm sorry, at 8 o'clock. And there it is with an area of rain, sleet, and snow across the middle Mississippi Valley. And then it moves rapidly northeastward. This is by 2 a.m. And by 5 a.m., we've got snow through all of Pennsylvania, western Maryland, rain on the southern end. So basically between 5 and 8 a.m., as that wave heads to the coast, the area of precip expands. And I was looking at some of the liquid precip amounts here, and we're talking about a half an inch or more over that larger area of dark blue by that's at 8 a.m. Now, the tricky part of this forecast is going to be figuring out snow accumulations, because of the fact that after about 8 or 9 a.m., the sun angle is going to start going to work. By that time, it's already over in Pennsylvania, Maryland, and just about ending in western New Jersey. I'm sorry, all of New Jersey. This might be a little bit slow, I think. The NAM is slow right now with what's going on, so it may wind up being further east than this. So I'm thinking by about 9 or 10 a.m. it's all done with. So it's a matter of how intense is that snow and how much of it falls in the hours before and maybe an hour or so just after sunrise. So here's a close-up view. And so here it is on the close-up view of the Northeast, and you can see how quickly this is at 5 a.m. With snow starting up, and then by 8 a.m. it's snowing everywhere. So it literally just breaks out. It snows hard for a few hours, and then it's done. So however much we put down, we put down. Here is the NAM precip total liquid precipitation. And look, this is, much even more than what it had last night. Large area of a half an inch of liquid or more, and a little stripe of 3/4 of an inch to an inch touching the New Jersey coast. So I think there are gonna be pockets here where there are gonna be some upside surprises, and at the same time in the warmer urban areas, because of the fact that temperatures are going to be marginal, probably near or just over or just under 33, depending on where you are. You're going to see a variation in snow amounts. The NAM 3 kilometer, which ought to be good in an instance like this, also rather bullish here with the precip, just about the same here. A lot of areas getting a half to 3/4 of an inch. And if you want to use 10-to-1 snow ratio, it's probably going to be a little bit less than that. But there's a fair area here that the NAM produces of, let's call it 3 to 6 inches in that purple shading area. From western Pennsylvania across New Jersey into Long Island and over into Connecticut. I'm not sure if I'm ready to go this route in terms of the total snowfall, but we're going to evaluate this some more as we move through the afternoon and see how things play out on the next cycle run. Here's the GFS, by the way. It's only out through 42 hours, but it matches up pretty well with the NAM. The actual wave is down on the probably on the Virginia Panhandle here, with snow almost into eastern PA, rain in northern Virginia and through northern Maryland. It'll probably change over to snow there before it ends, and we need a couple of more jumps here on the GFS to take us out another 12 hours, and we should have a good idea regarding whether it matches up with the NAM model or not. So we're going to give it a minute or two, and then we'll come back to it. So let me just jump on board with you guys. I hope you're enjoying your start of your weekend. We don't have a whole lot of examples of snow this time of year that we can fall back on through practical experience in terms of how these systems evolve and how the snow winds up accumulating. So it makes the forecast even more difficult. Sean Chapman, good morning to you. Philadelphia totals. Well, I got to tell you, the NAM model gives Philadelphia 0.6 of an inch of liquid. So you know what? I'm going to just say, let's be conservative. Let's cut that in half and think that maybe there could be a few inches for Philadelphia itself and maybe a little bit more in the surrounding area. I mean, that's kind of where I would feel comfortable at this moment as far as a forecast is concerned. Timothy Veltman, you want a northwest shift all the way up into upstate New York, and that just is I don't think that's a little bit too late in the game for that to happen at this point. Although it has shifted northward over the last several runs. We now went from the northern fringe of snow being right at New York City to somewhere north of Poughkeepsie. So, I can't imagine it would shift any further north than that this late in the game, at least from what I'm seeing. This is a very, very fast-moving system. That's the other thing here. We're literally talking about probably 6 hours of snow, and that's it. So it's going to have to snow and snow pretty hard in that 6 hours, put down those accumulations, especially in coming off the relatively warm daytime that we're going to have tomorrow. Will be in the 50s, which is typical for this time of year. So you're going to lose a couple of hours probably for the atmosphere just trying to cool itself down. So it gives you a window of about 4 to 6 hours in terms of total accumulation. Delvin, let me give it a quick look as far as Boston is concerned. Let's go back. I'll bring up the GFS again. Here's the thing. In areas, in rural areas, I would say that you would probably see certainly accumulation on cold surfaces and probably on most paved surfaces. But as you go into the warmer urban areas, I think we're probably going to wind up saying that the accumulation will be limited to cold surfaces. So here's the GFS. This is on Monday morning at 8 a.m. So snow is actually north of Poughkeepsie, but not quite to Albany, south of Boston. The darker blues probably where we'll see some moderate snow falling, and then the low moves out, even ends as a little bit of rain. I mean, this is what happens this time of year when you lose the intensity. You know, you lose that dynamic cooling that is going to be going on, and you might have precipitation ending as a few raindrops. So let's take a look at what the GFS is giving us in terms of total accumulated precip here, and not that much different from the NAM. It's a little bit further south, but the amounts are higher. 0.4 of an inch of liquid to about New York City and Long Island, half an inch from 195 south. So, if you want to adjust the GFS for its usual southeast bias, you could push the 0.4 maybe is where the half an inch is. The northern edge, maybe that's the reality of where the half an inch of liquid is. And as far as snow, 10-to-1 ratio on the GFS. So this is kind of like in a 2 to 4-ish. Maybe some pockets of higher amounts where you see the purple shading. That purple shading could wind up being anywhere and everywhere. So don't use this too literally. But I think right now, based on what models are showing, I feel pretty comfortable, thinking of the idea that there are going to be some places that are going to get at least, several inches out of this, and there might be a few pockets that'll go a little bit higher, closer to the warmer urban areas, like in and around New York City, Newark, Jersey City, down through Philadelphia, and north and west of the Washington D.C. area. You can see where the southern edge of the 1-inch line is. So it looks like Baltimore's in it, and Washington is just, D.C. is just barely out of it, but. Very interesting that we're seeing something like this at the beginning of April. Again, not totally unheard of, just that you can go years without seeing snow in April, but it seems as if the winters in recent years are hanging on longer into the first part of the spring, and as a result, we've getting these late season, we're sick of it, make it go away kind of snow threats. Just real fast on the longer range, would not at all be surprised if we wind up with something again, another threat next weekend. There's a lot of stuff going on in the upper air that we need to pay attention to. There will be, on the heels of this, Tuesday into Wednesday, we've got another one of these warm front, cold front set up, so it's going to probably be some rain, maybe some snow and ice at the start on the northern fringe and inland areas, but it's going to be mostly rain for later Tuesday night, and some showers on Wednesday with a cold front. Probably see temperatures head up into the 60s again in many locations. So, it's a very fast-moving, active pattern, and it's just going to continue at least, I think, to about mid-month before we see any kind of meaningful pattern change through all of this. I want it to go away so badly. I really do. So anyway, I'm gonna put an end to this here. Have a great rest of your day. For those of you in the New York City area, or perhaps you could watch online, I'll be on WPIX TV channel 11 in New York City on tonight at 5 o'clock and at 10 o'clock. Eastern time. So if you can tune in, by all means, please do. I'll probably try a Facebook Live at some point as we move through this evening, do a little bit of updating. You can check out website updates, of course, at meteorologistjoecioffi.com. And Angry Ben has had to back off on the creepy bunny pictures that he's been putting up and deal with this snow question for New York City for Monday morning. And he's on nycweathernow.com. All right, folks, have a great rest of your day. If I don't see you guys tomorrow on a live stream, have a very happy Easter. If you are celebrating Passover, a happy Passover as your holiday continues and goes into its second night tonight. Take care.